Foreign and domestic. Now, first of all, I want to cover some things that's not going to be taught in your Bible or your churches, most likely, because it's very highly confidential material when it comes to the government putting a thumb down on what's being taught in the churches. So I'm going to give you the Bible verses and pose the questions, and it's your job to look it up in the King James Version Bible or the Do-Re-Mi Catholic Bible. It's in both. So there we go. I'm going to be moving quite rapidly, so take a pen and paper and take notes as I move through this. I'm going to start with the Old Testament, move into the New Testament. There's going to be 3 tapes. This is tape 1. Here we go. Interracial marriage. Old and New Testament. It's forbidden. God created species which commanded purity of the breed. If you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 11, 20 through 21, 24 through 25, God created all living things and commanded every creature to bring forth after its own kind. The animals was given this instinct to last forever, which was given to them by God. Mixing caused the flood. If you look at Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 7, and they took themselves wives of all they chose. And the promiscuous cohabitation of the sons of God, which is from the Seth's godly line, with the daughters of men, which is Cain's worldly line, resulted in a breakdown of mortality, provoking the Lord to destroy the earth by flood. Now we look at the origin and separation of the races. We take a look at Genesis chapter 9, verse 18 through chapter 10, verse 32. After the flood, Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, fathered 3 racial groups which immigrated to different continents. And by the way, Ham in Hebrew means dark, and this flood created what on the earth? Different continents, creating separation. Now the Negro was made the servant race by divine decree. If you read Genesis chapter 9, verse 24 through 27, that was upon Ham's wrongdoing. And Noah, after he woke up drunk, said, "Cursed be Canaan, cursed be Ham. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren." God created every race for a purpose. And we jump real quick into the Tower of Babel, which a lot of you have heard the wrong stuff, so here's the right stuff. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 through 9, where he confused the tongue at the Tower of Babel. And this was an act of God to separate and disrupt man's attempt of collectivism. Now, the mixed races are incompatible. If we take a look at Genesis chapter 12 through 25, Abraham's Egyptian handmaid Hagar gave birth to Ishmael, and Sarah, the pure-blooded woman, gave birth to Isaac. The boys of different lineage were incompatible. God had Abraham send Hagar and Ishmael away to form a separate people, now known as the Arabs, without inheritance at all with Abraham's seed. Now the racial purity sought for God's convent with people. That's the next question. We have to look at Genesis chapter 24 through verses 3 through 4. "Thou shalt not take a wife unto my son Isaac of the daughters of the Canaanites." Again, the dark people are from the Canaanites. "Among them I dwell, but thou shalt go into my country and to my kindred, and take unto my son a daughter." Genesis chapter 28, verse 2. "Arise," talking about Jacob here, "go to the house of Bethel, thy mother, father, and take thee a wife from hence of the daughters of Laban." Now, if we look at, does he separate, and different people, were they predetermined? We have to look at Genesis chapter 25, verse 23. "Two nations are in thy womb, Esau and Jacob. And 2 manner of people shall be separate from the bowels." Now we have to look at mixing of just a strain is forbidden. If we look at Leviticus chapter 19 verse 19, thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingle of linen and woolen come upon thee. Then we have to take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 9 through 11. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. Now, surely such a purity of a strain would apply to God's master race, wouldn't it? The human being. Now, we're segregated worship and divinely inspired order. That's the next question we pose when we look at Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 2. A bastard, and that's what it says, bastard. A bastard, one born of illegal parents, like half Israelite and half Canaanite, is what they're talking about, shall not enter the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation. Now note that bastard in Hebrew means mixed. Now amalgamates could be saved, but not worshipped with the pure-blooded. Now, interracial marriage is forbidden, punished, and prevented by segregation if you read Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 1 through 3. Neither shalt thou make marriage with them, talking about the Canaanites. And then we have to look at Joshua chapter 23 verse 12 through 13. If ye cleave into these nations and make marriage, God will no longer drive out any of these nations before ye. Now we'll take a look at Israel chapter 10 verse 1 through 2. We have trespassed against God and have taken strange wives. Chapter 6 verse 21 and chapters 9 through 10. Now in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 10 verse 28, 30, chapter 13 verse 23 through 30. Now Israel and Nehemiah settled race problems through separation, segregation, and severe punishment for mixing. Now, if you look at Israel, chapter 9, verse 12, interracial marriage weakens nations. And then we have to look at the Negro's characteristics. Are they unchangeable? Look at Jeremiah, chapter 13, verse 23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard its spots? Now, we know that black blood mixed with white blood makes black blood thinner, but obliviates the white blood forever. Sounds like genocide to me through interracial marriage. Now that concludes the Old Testament. And we'll move right on into the next tape, into the New Testament concerning interracial marriage and segregation. Foreign and domestic. Out here.